Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Prima Advanced User Forum. This is Tyler with Prima Software. I'll be your host today, and we'll be covering dealer depots. Chris will be available in the chat to answer any questions. You can access the chat at the bottom of the window. After I cover the content for today, we will unmute everyone for some questions. So if you have more than one warehouse, you can set them up as separate depots in Prima, and this will allow you to assign customers to a certain depot, transfer stock between locations, and assign staff to the depot as well. So to create a new depot, we just need to go into our own company. And then to create a new location, we can double click into any of these existing ones. For example, if you only had HQ, you could double click into here and click new at the top left. And you'll just want to fill in the details for this depot. So you have a location code, we'll call this depot 2, and then the name of the depot. Address. And then you might have multiple locations that share the same tax nexus as your HQ. If this is the case for this location, you can just leave HQ in the dealer dropdown over here. This way your sales orders will have the same tax as your HQ. If you have two locations with different tax nexuses, for example, if this location is in a different zip from your HQ location, you can set this field to be the same as the depot that you're in. So I'll go ahead and do that once we hit save. Oh, duplicate key. There we go. So this one that we just made is depot 3. And save. So now that we've created a new depot, if we wanted to place purchase orders for stock to be receipted in against this location, we just need to make sure that we're using this working depot first. There's two ways to do that. The first way is in settings at the top right here. If we go into change working depot, we can just immediately swap to the depot that we just made. And you can see that it's changed in the parentheses up here, or if you hover over it. The other way is in admin, we can set a default against our users. So if we go into admin, I'll just look for my user. And then user default warehouse. So if you wanted, you could assign this user when they log in to automatically be logged into depot 3 that we just made. For now, I'll leave that as HQ. You'll just save and close that. And remember that any changes you make in admin, you'll have to log out of client and back in for those to take effect. So now when manually creating a PO, it will default to the depot that is set on your user. You can also set a company location to have a default for a certain depot, and this default will be used on any sales orders you put on for this company location. To do this, if we search for a company, and then go into one of the locations here, we can set that dealer depot that we just made to be against this location. And so now that we've set this, if we put on a sales order for that location, and create. So when a sales order is put on for this account, this location, it'll go through to purchasing into whichever depot is selected as the default. If for some reason you'd like to change this, you can also change it on the sales order itself right here in this drop down. Let's go ahead and add an item to this order. For example, UNV 21200. Next to where we're adding the line here, you can see this box. This shows your own stock in the current depot that you're in. So right now we have 0 owned stock. If we wanted to check our stock in other depots to see if they have any available, we can link to the product. So I'll go ahead and save this line and link to the product from here. And then imbalances on the bottom right. Here we can see the physical and available inventory for our depots. And Prima will only allocate stock from the depot that you're currently working in. So if I didn't have stock and wanted stock for this depot or another depot, we would just need to go to this transfer inventory button up here and select from which depot we're taking the stock. So if I move this out of the way, we can see what's available. We'll take it from HQ. You can also select the bins here and then into the depot that we want it. And then click apply. So back on the sales order, if we're on the lines tab, delivery details here at the bottom. Once we refresh this, it will now show that quantity that we just transferred to this depot as available on the order. Okay. We also have filters for depots on most of our lookups. Since we have nothing in this depot, let me change back to HQ really quick. For example, the sales order or purchase order lookups. We have more filters here. You can set this to only view lines for the depot that you are working at. We also have the requirements lookup, your available lines for receipt notes as well, and dispatch notes. These will only show lines for the current depot that you're in. Once again, you can view that depot up here. This is because it involves purchasing and movements to stock. So you would only want a receipt or purchase stuff for the location you're at. At the bottom of requirements, while we're here, you can also view stock in your depots here at the bottom right. That's just a quick look. And once again, if you wanted to change or transfer stock, you can just double click into any of these requirements, link to the product, and go through the same process that we just did. One last thing to mention. We also have some reports that will show everything in each depot and break it down by bin locations in each depot, and that'll be our stock valuation. We have 2 versions of this report. The spreadsheet one it'll show your depot here, and you can filter by depot and bin locations. It also has the bin location default. The other version of this report is a PDF. It's a little easier to understand. This one has, you can view the stock broken down by each depot as well, and the status of the stock. For example, general stock allocated. This one has a lot of pages on it. Other statuses like awaiting return. Most of our reports do have a filter for depots. These just have them set in the stock valuation report. But if we go into the sales invoice and credits report, for example, and then criteria, you can also filter by depot here as well. And that's a brief overview of using the working depots in Prima, switching between them, how the stock works, and setting default depots for yourself and for your customers. Thanks everybody for joining in, and can now unmute everyone for questions.